Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning. Wow. And
Yes,
what a morning it is.
yes, I am charged by crystals, essential oils, yoga, and Reiki. Thank you very much. This was my find about a week and a half ago, and I love it. It brings me so much joy to drink my coffee.
Hey.
While we were at the Moon Goddess Market a couple weeks ago, which Danielle and I will be participating in the next month or so, they were serving hibiscus tea or sangria out of these cauldron mugs, and they sold out of them by the time we got there. And so the other day I showed up to Danielle's to work on some things for her crystal truck, and she had a cauldron mug for me, so I'll bring that out here.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that.
But enough of that. We are here to discuss some goddess magic.
Yeah, once again, this one is a challenge when we go to pronounce her name. Machig Ladron. I'm just going with that. I'm rolling the R and oh, just like a lot of these goddesses, things are up to interpretation and up to our our ability or inability to pronounce things, since this is not our native language. However, I think the energy,
her message is
universal. So we're going to go with that. So she's the diamond-hearted Dakini. And of course, every goddess we've been talking about through this series has been heart-centered. And she has the diamond heart. And her affirmation is, I see the light in my darkness. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. Yeah.
Yes, goddess.
Let me read from the book a little bit about her. She developed the tantric Buddhist practice of Chod. These teachings were the first Buddhist teachings to emerge in Tibet. Chod is referred to as the cutting off ritual. I wonder if that's like cord cutting. Yeah, the Chod practitioner visualized their demon and then mentally cuts off. Here, these get a little graphic. Cuts off parts of their own body as an offering to the demon. I don't know about that. Basically, this is a method for bringing out our shadow into consciousness and accessing the treasures it holds rather than representing it.
Yeah.
So there's, I think the lesson, or what Machig is trying to bring to us, is that there's darkness within us all. There's the shadow, right?
Yeah.
And we can choose to embrace that. Our ego likes to attach itself to that belief or whatever that's hiding in the shadows. And she is here to remind us that we can either attach ourselves, this is how I'm interpreting it, to that darkness, to that shadow, to the ego, or we can shine a light on it, free it, like, cutting off that part that's holding on to it. And being that diamond-hearted Dakini. That Dakini is that intuition, that enlightened feminine energy that we have, right? So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah. So if we just, and we've talked about this, I think, recently as well, in a previous talk, but it's just, I feel like we're being given the opportunity to really give this some birth and light, right? Is shadow aspects they're part of the duality, right? So everything in our life is a duality, right? Our heavenly self, our earthly self, our left, right. I mean, if you just take it down to the physical body, you have dualities.
Right.
And so it's about understanding that one cannot exist without the other. And it's a whole lot easier for us to want to shun the darkness, want to shun the parts of ourselves that we don't like, instead of embrace them. However, the magic is in embracing and integrating all of it, because within those shadow aspects of yourself, there is magic, there is a gift, as you just said. And so it's about choosing to decide if you're going to let your mindset be one of a denser, ego-based vision, or if you're going to raise your vibration into that higher vision and be able to look at the entire landscape of your being. I talk about this a lot with my teenager right now, which is very interesting because we keep talking about the whole picture. Are you thinking about the whole picture instead of just this, central experience right here, right now?
Right.
And when we get too focused on one idea or one, thought process, that's our ego that's like, oh no, I'm going to keep you right here and trap you into it. And that's what darkness feels like. It feels like you're trapped in this cycle of chaos. So how do you get out of that? Well, you step outside of the chaos and remember that you are light.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that you are a spark of the divine, and that this is just this 3D plane. This subject has been coming up a lot with clients of late as well, is that kind of get stuck in the mind making all the decisions about how you're going to do X, Y, Z. And so I asked this question, and notoriously every time people just look at me and go, no. So the question I ask is, are you bringing your spiritual practices to your physical world experience? So when we're on a spiritual journey, it can get real easy to think that it's in its own box over here.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, all the things I have to do are in a box over here. When in truth, we want to bring them together.
Right. That integration is so.
Yes, you want to take your spiritual
important.
practices and bring them into your job, bring them into your parenting, bring them into your friendships, bring them into your family relationships. How can you step outside of your ego's beliefs about how things should be, and instead have a conversation with your, from your spiritual heart to the spiritual heart of another? Because it's real easy for us to get stuck in the, oh, this happened, this person's acting this way, they're treating me this way, and get into that victim mentality, that root chakra imbalance.
Right.
Versus bringing that guru in from the crown chakra that says, okay, this being, this person, this human is a spark of the divine. It is my remembrance of who I am. And I may not be able to have a conversation in this 3D plane with that person because they can't hear me because we think differently. However, I can go into meditation, and I can go into ritual, and I can go into prayer, and I can ask to speak to the heart, the light heart of that being, because I know that they are my family, my light family. And I can ask for the divine to help open our hearts to hear one another in this 3D plane. That is how you are integrating then your physical world and your spiritual world.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of that word enlightened, and we were talking about the enlightened feminine in light. And the feminine way is heart-centered, is creative, is open, receiving. And I'm sure everyone out there who's listening to this, and in our case, there's at least one person in our close proximity that's just that aspect of the darkness, I suppose, or the one that you're not going to be able to communicate with.
Right. Right.
And if you can still shine that light, and just
right,
holding on to that light in yourself, like you were saying. And I have seen that duality in my past, where that darkness, I would run away from it. Really, okay, that's there. I'm getting away from, as far away from that as possible, which really isn't healthy, because that I needed to acknowledge that darkness, and it's almost like there's a door, and you peek in and you're like, oh, it's really dark in there. I don't know. I don't know, go in there.
Right.
But you don't know, if you open the door and you're coming with light, you got the light to shine in there, and you think, oh, wow, there's something really cool in there that I didn't see before. I thought it was all dark.
But in the dark, it's going to be scary. There's things that I don't want to see. Instead of, again, it's a mindset. It's how do I choose to look at this? Do I choose to look at this from a place of fear, or do I choose to look at this from a place of love?
Right. And so often I would look at something, or I would be fearful of acknowledging, or not confronting, but shining a light on this, and thinking, oh, I'm going to get a lot of pushback. There's going to be all this confrontation and stuff. And then, so when I do shine my light, or my truth, or what have you, and that other person would say, oh, well, that's not a big deal, or I'm glad that you shared that, because I had no idea. And it turns out that it's not as bad as I thought. Future events appearing real. No, it really, I mean, like you said, you approach it with the mindset, how different the result could be.
Exactly. And so that's what I feel like our message is here today is, it has to do with how what the relationship is you have with your darkness. You can either have a relationship of avoidance and fear and ignoring, because you don't want to acknowledge it, or you don't want to own it, or what have you, or you can enter it with the eyes of curiosity.
Yeah.
And curiosity is fun and exciting, because then you can just explore without attachments to the outcome.
So one of the gifts my husband has is, well, he's a questioner, but anytime I make a statement or something, his initial reaction is why, and not like confrontational why, but it's just like, well, why is that so? Or why would you think that way? Or why could it be? I mean, just why? Because he's always curious about, well, couldn't it be different?
Right.
But I love that. So coming about it with a sense of curiosity.
Yeah.
That's the mindfulness way, right? Be kind of neutral and removing yourself from that. So you look at it.
And also have gratitude for that darkness, because that darkness, whatever it is, whatever those beliefs are, they served a purpose at one point in time. And whatever that purpose is irrelevant. They served a purpose at one point in time. Now they're outdated, and it's time to shift your energies in another direction. So really, truly, it is about acknowledging and honoring the journey.
Right.
And that comes from a place of love. So again, we can't say this enough, friends. Bring it back to the heart, bring it back to the heart, bring it back to the heart. Even whenever it feels impossible, bring it back to the heart. So with that.
Oh, what was it we said at the new moon? I love myself through.
Yes, I love myself.
I love myself through. Through the darkness, through this experience. And Thank you so much, everyone, for spending this time. Thank you, Ramona. I always learn something about myself, about the journey.
And I do too from you, my dear.
Yeah.
Well, we will see you all next time. Have a beautiful rest of your day and lead with your light, friends, and allow whatever the darkness is to be shined upon.